I'm Bianca, and I'm a level 1 chef.
I'm Lorenzo, and I'm a level 2 chef.
Hi, I'm Yuji. I've been a ramen chef for 8 years.
How often do I make ramen? Embarrassingly enough, more often than I should. When I want to get fancy and add the chicken, maybe a couple times a month.
I make this type of ramen, which is with a nice broth, probably once a month, more so during the winter, but I like soup all year round.
I wanted to create ramen that I want to eat every day. I'll be combining fresh chicken bones and then also the fish bones.
We're gonna start it off with shredding the chicken.
So I'm just going to submerge my pork belly 10 minutes.
Whole fish breakdown process starts from removing the fins. I'm just taking the scale off, make sure that the guts are removed, rinse the head.
Half an onion, as well as this beautiful nub of ginger into our marinade bag. Soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, sugar, salt, pepper, garlic.
Cut the skin, turn it, same process. I'm gonna take the tail off, cut the ribs.
So obviously this is level 1, okay? Don't judge me.
It is important to roast the bones at a high temperature so you don't lose the gelatin that's underneath the bone.
And let's let it up. Oh, Lord have mercy. Don't open it yet, because it still obviously has pressure in it, or else it's gonna be all over your ceiling.
Maybe I should have took the skin off, but you know, nobody's perfect.
The best way to enjoy the skin and the fat underneath is by torching very quickly at high heat. Right after that, you want to put it into the ice bath, just shock it.
Let me just massage it through. Look how nice and dark that is. I have cornstarch, and I also have flour. We're gonna easy coat this. I'm just trying to crisp the outside of it.
About 6 slices for ramen
Topping. Now we are chopping up some
Scallions for my stock. I'm going to also prep the scallions for my topping.
I usually use the cayenne pepper to top it off.
I love lemon in soup. You want something to brighten it up.
I really like the flavor of fennel. The leaf is so delicate that it actually doesn't add any flavor. That's why I actually put it on top of the bowl.
I love red pepper flakes to saute vegetables. A couple handfuls of my bean sprouts. I'm just gonna warm it through. Salt.
I'm going to move on to leek. So that's the green part, good for the broth. Leek has a lot of fiber, so if it's minced up, it tastes much, much better. The ginger that I'm chopping right now is gonna be for the topping.
So now it's time for the
Broth.
You pour the water.
The old red pepper flakes. These I will leave whole. I will add my onions, tomato. This will melt into the stock. My ginger, garlic.
The water will start to boil, and we'll add some garlic powder. You know, you gotta do it. It's my favorite salt bay, you know?
Today I'm actually using this crazy display of bones.
So I'm going to start with the chicken first.
This is about 5 to 6 pounds of bones.
So next I'm going to put the fish bones that I just roasted nicely. Then the vegetables, aromatics, and water just enough to cover the ingredients.
I'm actually gonna put some chicken broth in.
So we're gonna add some chicken flavor seasoning. Mix it a little bit.
So I'm gonna bring it to 180 to 200. I'm gonna keep it same temperature for 8 hours.
It smells like 3 a.m. studying for finals.
And then I'm going to strain the broth, and I'm gonna add the last component, which is kombu, which is a dry kelp.
Look at that, you guys. Away we go.
This is the broth that I strained, so you can see how gelatinous this is. This instantly becomes like a ramen broth, but not instant ramen, the real ramen.
I actually use the ramen that comes in those college packs of buy 10 for $1. Something like that. I add a little soy sauce.
I like to kind of like split it in half. I think, you know, it kind of like allows for faster cooking. Voila.
So I'm gonna have a double flour. I'm gonna make a little bit of room right here in the middle. Just water, and then kansui. What it does is to add extra gluten into the noodle.
I do like to try to break it up a little bit, just makes it cook faster.
I kind of just allow it to sit, and it'll kind of like break apart on its own.
I'm kneading just enough so that it becomes almost like a mochi. So I'm gonna just rest this for a half hour.
I kind of like to wait for a certain type of consistency. I cannot tell you what that type of consistency is, but I know it when I see it.
You wanna feel like almost a texture of the leather. It's important that you do it quickly too, so that the noodle doesn't get dried out.
I kind of like to wait until the noodles are a little bit, I don't know, straight. Okay, so let's just pull one out to see if it's the right consistency. We're gonna do with this lucky guy.
Yes, we are done.
It's there, it's ready to go. It tastes so good.
So I try to strain as much as possible.
I feel good about the texture. I'm gonna just fold it into the size that's perfect for each slurp. You're gonna combine all them together, leave it out right here, so it actually stays in this waviness. I'm going to boil noodles for about 2 minutes, and I'm gonna build everything.
So we'll start off with pouring the noodle in the broth inside the bowl. Now we're gonna add a dash of cayenne pepper for some spice. I'm gonna mix that in a little bit, just to kind of like get a nice cayenne to noodle ratio.
Sauteed bean sprouts, fried pork belly.
So now we're gonna add some chicken, and lastly, the scallion.
Let's put the egg in. Now, pour the broth. A little bit of sesame seeds and a little citrus to bring it on home. I like using a little bit of sesame oil. I'm also gonna go use, don't get scared now, fish sauce. A little bit, couple drops. I always add a little bit more
Soy sauce, chicken fat, scallion ginger oil, leek, ginger, and then the pepper. We go super hot. Make sure that no more water is coming out, so that noodle will just keep sucking up the broth. Then I'm going to have nori, seaweed in the middle like this, and the sashimi snapper, and then the fennel, and then eggs.
This is my chicken ramen.
My ramen noodle soup.
This is my mottainai shoyu ramen.
So now for the tasting of the finished product.
That's good.
It's spicy, it's flavorful. I think this actually turned out really, really great.
Ramen is just gonna soak up all of those delicious flavors, so you need a good base, and broth is the base, and that ramen's fantastic. I'd like to leave and eat some more.
So everything is so well balanced that you cannot tell what is inside exactly, but as an overall, it makes a really nice one giant flavor. I'm gonna just finish it. So good.
Ramen is a Japanese comfort food that loosely translates to pulled noodles. Nearly every region in Japan has its own variation of ramen. Let's take a look at how our three chefs did with this classic hearty favorite. Bianca made a very simple dorm room ramen, which relied on an instant chicken-flavored noodle package. She elevated her meal by adding rotisserie chicken from the grocery store for an easy protein, and garlic powder and cayenne for a layer of complexity in this very salty style of ramen.
You know what? That's the type of kick that I like, though.
Lorenzo made a pork-based ramen using pork belly as his main protein. Pork belly is a boneless cut of pork with a lot of fat that can absorb a lot of flavor.
Pork belly. It's actually really, really soft.
He marinated it with soy sauce for saltiness, rice vinegar for acidic notes, and to tenderize along with salt, pepper, and fresh ginger with fresh garlic and onion. He marinated it for 40 to 50 minutes to add flavor to the surface of the pork, but only the salt will penetrate more than surface deep. Lorenzo then coated the pork belly in cornstarch before frying it. Yuji used sushi-grade red snapper as the main protein for his ramen. He breaks down his fish and heats one side of the descaled fish very quickly with a blowtorch, just enough to dehydrate it so that the skin remains crunchy, but it doesn't cook the fillet of his fish. Yuji is also unique in that he'll use every part of the fish while creating his ramen, leaving nothing to waste. It's as efficient as it is delicious. The aromatic vegetables he used were fennel, ginger, and leeks, reserving some fennel for garnish, so he wastes nothing in making this bowl of ramen.
Mottainai shoyu ramen. Mottainai means no waste.
Bianca's broth is not flavorful, just salty. In the flavor packet that came with her instant ramen, you'll find things like MSG, salt, sugar, dehydrated garlic and onion, along with palm oil, hydrolyzed corn, wheat, and soy proteins. Maltodextrin is added for body and turmeric for color.
TBT for all you guys. Okay, this is a throwback.
Lorenzo starts his pork bones with cold water, which is important, so that the bones heat evenly and at the same time as they simmer, allowing for even flavor extraction, since all of the bones are diffused with the same amount of heat. Lorenzo strained the protein-based foam that forms when simmering animal bones, leaving a dark, rich, and flavorful stock for his ramen. Yuji also made his own broth from his red snapper bones and head, adding chicken bones for additional flavor.
The chicken and then the fish have different umami acid. That's why it's important to layer them.
He roasted his fish bones, which extracted minerals from the bones, into his broth, darkening it and adding yet another layer of flavor. He simmered this bone broth for 6 to 8 hours without boiling for maximum flavor extraction, because particulate in larger pieces of food mix and move around, creating a thoroughly infused broth. Lastly, he adds kombu, which is an edible kelp that brings an ocean salinity to his broth, which will complement the fish very nicely. Bianca used wheat-based instant noodles. These noodles are either dehydrated at high temperature or are pre-fried, so they're difficult to overcook when adding the boiling water.
Sometimes it can overcook and it becomes like this weird, mushy, disgusting noodle worm.
Lorenzo used convenient pre-made noodles,
This is a disc of ramen. How the heck do you open this dang thing?
but he added soy sauce to increase the salinity of his cooking water. Adding a large quantity of salt in the form of soy sauce will not only make the water appear darker, but it increases the boiling temperature, thus shortening the cooking time. Yuji made his own noodles with special 00 flour. This flour is made from hard durum wheat and has a protein content of approximately 11 to 12%. When we're talking about protein content in regard to flour, it's the glutenin and the gliadin that form gluten that we're considering. And higher gluten equals firmer textured noodles that can hold their own in hot broth. He adds sodium bicarbonate, an alkali which raises the pH, making the flavones, which are normally white or colorless in wheat, slightly golden in color, while also making the gluten more elastic. The addition of sodium bicarbonate,
Whatever that means.
also increases the cooking time of the noodles, allowing them to soak up more flavor from the broth. Bianca adds her shredded chicken, cayenne pepper, and scallions to the top of her ramen for color and for crunch.
You know, you gotta add a little shimmy to it.
Lorenzo adds his noodles, pork, and toppings of bean sprouts, lemon, scallion, and a soft-boiled egg, which is traditional and adds additional protein to his ramen dish. Yuji adds his leeks and fennel, ginger, and oil to the bowl first. Then he pours his broth over it, adds his noodles, kombu, and uncooked red snapper before topping it with a soft-boiled egg and fennel fronds. This method of building ramen creates visual appeal and minimizes disruption of the noodles and heavier ingredients, making the sashimi the real star of his ramen. They also each added an egg, allowing additional protein as well as visual flair. When serving ramen, it's important to remember that ramen noodles get soggy quickly if they're left in the broth for too long, giving them an unappetizing mouthfeel. So they should be eaten immediately upon serving. And yes, it's perfectly okay to make a slurping sound when eating ramen, because the slurping enhances the flavors and helps cool down the hot noodles as they enter your mouth.
You have to do the sound, it makes it much better.
So slurp away. There's so much you can do to personalize your ramen dish, from the broth used to the various proteins available. Even if you're using a store-bought packet, this is a dish you can always put your own unique stamp on.